This is the Anything Goes with Jackson Neill podcast. Welcome back. I'm your host, Jackson Neill, here for episode number 110. Today, I'm talking with Jay French about his latest track, Cut You Off with Yella Beezy, and much, much more. Jay and I talk about a lot of fun stuff in this one. But first, I just want to remind everyone that this podcast is available on all of your favorite platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and SoundCloud. It's also available on jacksonneilepodcast.com, the go-to spot for everything that I publish. So this was a really fun interview to do with Jay. We talked about so many fun things, including his latest track, his upcoming project, some of his past work, but also about comedians and all this really, really fun stuff. It was one of the more wide-ranging interviews I've ever had here on the show, and it was a blast to do. So, here's my conversation with Jay French. How did this latest track, Cut You Off with Yella Beezy, how did that come about?
I honestly put the beat together really quickly, like maybe back in like March, and just got a hold of Beezy's manager, and we sent them the song. They liked it. We got in the studio, and we probably made it. It probably took about 2 days to get it. He heard we had one listening session, and then the next day he comes back. Well, no, it was over the weekend. He went to the Double XL freshman cover thing and flew back that Monday. We had a session. He knocked it out real quick. He didn't even write it. He just knocked his part out. I guess he had it formulated in his mind already or something, or maybe he had it in his phone. I just didn't see it. I don't know. I don't know, but he knocked it out. He vibed. It was like it took 2 days to come out. I produced it myself. And I came up with the hook based on things I was going through at that moment, like dealing with people, and that's everything has to come from somewhere, mm-hmm. and that's what I was dealing with. I don't really rap about doing drugs and getting high and stuff, like, because I don't do that stuff. If I did that stuff, you'd hear me rap about it, because I only talk about what I do and what I'm going through. So it's like that came about just from me dodging a couple bullets, metaphorically, and that's how that came out. So I hope I never have to cut you off. It was like, man, I'm meeting all these new people, and I hope it doesn't come to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's basically what it was.
Exactly. You can always tell when music kind of comes from that true, honest place too.
Right. It has to, or it's not going to be really good. No one's going to really feel it.
Exactly.
If you're honest about it, people can tell you're honest, because people can relate to it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So you said you kind of made the beat really quick, and you sent it right over to Beezy. Why did you choose him? Why did you decide to send it over to him? What was it about the beat and the production that made you say, "Oh, he needs to be on this track"?
Yeah, I heard his voice on it. I was like, Beezy would sound good on this track. Stepping outside the box from what he normally does, even though it's not even what he does at all. Like, I just put music, I can hear certain voices on certain songs. And, just to do something different, I like to think outside the box. And it's totally outside of everything he does. When he first heard it, first thing he says, him and his manager, both of them said, his manager, Low Deezy. He says, "Man, this sounds like what Pharrell is trying to get us on." I think that's the first thing they said. This sounds, because they just came from LA with the first time they heard it, and we in the studio, we just vibing, and they're like, "Man, we just got from LA today, like from hanging out with Pharrell, and Pharrell was playing us these tracks like these. Every track sounded like this track, and she was like, "Man, we got to get this one done."
And that's some pretty high praise too, if they're comparing a track that you did the production for to something that Pharrell would do.
Right. And honestly, I mean, I don't compare myself to those guys, but it's like, I don't even notice it, but so many people, like, I produce pretty much everything I'm on, pretty much everything I do. I play 8 instruments. I play multiple instruments, been playing them all my life, so I produce, like, everything I do. and or I try to have something to do with the production, you know, or I probably won't do it. I don't have anything to do with the production.
Exactly.
Usually, but yeah, you know, that is a really high praise. When they said that, I was like, really? Pharrell? What's Pharrell on? That's the first thing I'm thinking of. Is like, what is Pharrell? Hold on, what are they doing? You know, like, this is what I'm on right now. Like, why are they doing it? You know.
Well,
but it was just outside the box for him. You know, it was different than what he normally, the type of songs he normally gets on. You know, and he even sounded different. And they loved it. They said it was one of their favorite songs they've done.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really catchy song that I really, really like. And I saw that there's also this kind of like dance that goes along with it. How did that come about?
Oh man, the Future Kings. The Future Kings, they danced to it. Then Keita seen it and I guess danced to it after that. And then everyone else just started dancing to it. It just turned into a dance challenge. It was just crazy. It's still trending, like on Triller, like on these apps right now. Right now, people are doing it every day, still, you know. And I'm like, I don't even know where, you know, someone just liked the song. They probably heard it on the radio or something, wherever they were at, or from someone, and they just did their own little dance to it. It was cool, and they reached out and everything, and we got a cool relationship now. You know, all those guys like Keita the Great, the Future Kings. You know, they all reached out, and you know, now it was really cool. Yeah, you know, I didn't know them before this. I didn't know even who they were before this. And then I come to find out they've been on Ellen DeGeneres multiple times, and America's Got Talent. Keita the Great won So You Think You Can Dance. I'm like, I didn't know who you guys were before this song came out.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know? You mentioned like Triller. It's like it's crazy with these songs nowadays. They'll just pick up on these like apps here or there, like in a meme or something like that, and next thing you know, everyone's listening to it. It's wild.
Yeah, immediately. Like that's what's crazy is like technology is making it so easy for people just to like do art. I think like doing art is like the new trend, really. You know, like, so even if you can't do art yourself, you want to do something or have something to do with it, make your own dance video to this song. It's not good enough to just hear the song like it used to be. It's like you have to be rapping on the instrument. There's an app called Rap Chat.
Okay.
And you literally get on there and I'm doing something with them right now. Like they just reached out and told my publicist that they wanted me to do a shout out, put my beat on their thing. They're gonna, you know, do a social media thing with it. And, you know, but it's an app that people just rap on instrumentals.
Oh wow!
They just literally make a video rapping on an instrumental. It's like that's the trend now. It's like doing art is the trend. Not actually even succeeding at it, just doing it.
Yeah, that's so cool, and it's like a way. And you're right.
You don't have to.
Between dancing
SoundCloud.
And like between like dancing and like even like this Rap Chat thing, it's like a way for fans not only to just enjoy the music from like their favorite artist, but also like, you know, create art alongside with it. It's such a cool dynamic.
Right, it is. It's a very cool dynamic. All these are good for people who want to just create art as a hobby. So you know, these things kind of cultivate the hobby of art, the hobby of music, instead of the profession of music or, you know, performing and all that. Everyone doesn't want to do that. But a lot of people just want to do it as a hobby, you know, as a hobby and not as a profession. So these different apps kind of cultivate that. And, you know, it's like SoundCloud, Rap Chat, Triller, what's the other one? TikTok.
Oh, yeah, that one.
There's so many of them, and they all just really, you know, there's millions of people on there, all kind of kids and all kind of people. It's an outlet. It's a creative outlet, and I think they're great. You know, I co-sign all of them.
You're so right. It's just a way for people, you know, just have art as a form of expression, even if they're not doing it as their professional job.
Right. Because when you do it, when you go to a studio, you have to pay for studio time. Let's just be real. And it's not cheap if you're doing it right. And, you know, instruments are not cheap. You know, my mic costs $2,000.
It's a good mic.
My mic, it costs that. Not even speaking on the speakers and everything else that's in there, the computer, the program, the keyboards, everything else, the MPs, the MPs, it just you don't have to. That's when you're really serious about going into it. But just because I cook at home sometimes does not mean I want to go be a professional chef.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to taste my cooking. That's all I'll say about that topic.
Right. No, but that's pretty much like how the dance came about, and it just came out of the blue, and it just caught on, and when people see stars dancing and stuff, it just trends, and that's pretty much how it happened.
Yeah, it kind of like I said, it breeds that kind of like that community kind of engagement between people. I just have to ask you this: are you that good of a dancer, and could you do the dance yourself, or is that something not your strong suit?
Yeah. I can dance. I used to dance.
Really?
I danced all of high school. That's what I danced for an assembly, like for the homecoming. Like they so crazy talking about dance back then. They so crazy. I can dance.
Oh wow! So
I got moves like Michael Jackson though. Mine is different. Mine are not like I don't do the goofy dance with the new stuff. I do like I can do the moonwalk and shit.
Oh jeez.
No, I'm really good though. I'm serious. I used to be really good. I don't know if I'm still that good. But,
maybe you have to like post a video of that or something.
You say what?
Maybe you have to like post a video of that or something as some proof.
Yeah, I might have to. My friend Shane, she told me that I'm gonna have to because she seen me dance before, like clowning, and she was like, "You were actually good. You were just playing, but it was actually really good." And she's like, "You need to do a video of that." I'm not going to do that and be all serious into that, but I might do a cut you off challenge just to do it, just because everybody else is doing it. I'm going to do the same dance that Future Kings did,
Exactly, yeah. If it's your track, might as well join in.
Yeah, I might as well. I mean, I made it. I rapped on it. I think I did enough, but I'll do it.
Exactly. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more.
Right. This stuff is different. It's different. Pushing this stuff out it's ridiculously hard. This is the hardest. I mean, it's easy art-wise, but it is definitely the hardest business to make it in, for sure. It's like one of the best jobs in America, and it's one of the hardest industries to get into. Mm-hmm. And, there's a lot of stops. There's a lot of stop-ups, especially if you want to make some money and you don't want to be screwed over. So I put a lot of energy into this record, and I definitely might do it just to keep it going.
Yeah, exactly. And like we talked about like the SoundClouds and all these different apps and everything, that's great, for let some fans do some art, but it also means that there's a lot more art out there, so it's harder to get heard.
Right, it is. I mean, it's so oversaturated, but you know what? It's really not. It's just the way it should be. Like, this is the way art should be created. It should be developed and created, and people should have so many ways to do art and to express themselves artistically and creatively, however they want to. Whether it's drawing, whether it's building something, you don't have to have a shop to build a car. You can make one in your garage. You're fine. And it shouldn't be regulated in at all. There should be places like SoundCloud where it's like the Wild Wild West, where you can just go in there and do whatever you want to do. And if people like it, they like it. That's what hip hop is. Hip hop is about the newest stuff. That's what it's about. It's about the new guy. It's not about Jay-Z. Hip hop's not about Jay-Z. Hip hop is about the kid that only got 4 listens. He has 4 people listening to him on SoundCloud. That's it. And if someone discovered him and said, "Hey, y'all not listening to this though. This is the new. Like, this is hard." Like, that's what really turns people on about music nowadays. And hip hop is like the biggest music in the world right now. It's like there's so many more hip hop artists and urban artists on urban genre artists on the Billboard right now than any other music genre. Mm-hmm. And it's because of the newness and the freshness of it. There's no traditional. People try to keep it traditional, but that's That is impossible because it's too fresh and too new. And everything has to be fresh and new for it to stay alive in the first place. You know.
Exactly.
So when you think about traditional rap, you think about like KRS-One, and Nas, and and all that, and Biggie, and all. But that stuff is like, if they were alive right now, they'd be different.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth. They'd probably be different. If Biggie and Pac were alive, it'd be different. Mm-hmm. Even Nas has changed. He's changed his tune a whole lot, since he first came out.
Yeah.
That's it is what it is. So. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No. You're so right, though. Hip hop is probably the best genre in terms of constant innovation, and that more than any other genre, there's always something new in it. And that means that 40 years after it was created, it's now getting bigger and bigger and the biggest genre because there's still new stuff going on. Right.
It's always something new. It's ridiculous and it's so much new that people haven't even discovered.
Yeah.
And it's just so much newness to as far as like the dynamic of music. That's what hip hop does. It's the genre that put all the genres together in one and just talked over it. It blended rock with funk with disco and added some jazz to it, and you got a song right there.
Yeah.
You got one guy playing jazz drum. You got somebody playing a electric guitar on the same song. And then you got a funky vibe to it with some funk synth in it. And then you got some funk bass in it or whatever. The bass player is playing funk. The guitarist is playing rock. But the drummer's playing jazz drum. And then you got a guy sitting there scatting and rapping over it, doing spoken word poetry over it. Hip-hop is the most innovative music, period. It started like that. That's the way it became popular, because it's so innovative. And now it's kind of just like it's gotten away from its own self. It's got a mind of its own now. Mm-hmm. You don't have to push it. That's part of the culture. That's the religion now. It's ridiculous, and hip-hop kind of makes the rules. If hip-hop likes it, everybody likes it.
Yeah.
Hip-hop has to accept it for everybody to accept it. Hip-hop doesn't like Trump. That's why Trump is not favored. Mm-hmm. But if hip-hop just started loving Trump all of a sudden, trust and believe it, more people would like Trump.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth. Hip-hop, that's the truth.
I think I think you can even look at other things, like, even just like, I think of like a video game, like, when that whole Fortnite thing happened last year, I think a big part of that was because Drake was on that one video and Travis Scott, and that people they liked all these hip hop dances in there, and that's helped to catch on. And then as all the kind of rap, as hip hop fell away from it, Fortnite also lost some popularity as well.
Exactly, because they were still in the dances and they weren't giving credit to the guys, and it's going to hurt them.
Exactly.
Hip-hop is important. Hip-hop is that important right now. Hip-hop is that's everything, right? Even if country doesn't start mixing with hip-hop, it's going to be obsolete one day, but it might be the last one left, because rock is extinct.
Yeah, I mean...
rock is extinct, and I love rock.
Same.
And it's extinct. We don't have any more Green Days coming out. We don't have any more, like, Kings of Leon is like the last of the Mohicans.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously. There's not going to be another Queen for a good while from right now. I just don't foresee it. I just don't see it happening. Mm-hmm. Like, Queen is my favorite band, and I don't see it. I don't see anything even remotely close to that, even being inspired to do. Because back then that was new. That was new for them, for the UK. It was normal for the United States, but it was new for the UK then, and they were really into it.
Yeah, exactly.
The newest guy is gonna have the biggest hunger. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, that's
like,
the cool thing.
Put me on a song with Jay-Z right now. I'm gonna smoke him. Mm-hmm. I'm way more hungry than him. I'm gonna smoke that guy. Put me on a song with Kendrick Lamar, I'm gonna roast him purposely, just to show everybody believe in me. Like, just to, believe me as an artist. Like, I'm gonna show off. I'm gonna show out. That's how those guys get down. That's how Queen get down. That's how these rappers and these new people, they're just not, these new rappers, including myself, are not just new to, well, including myself in some type of way, but are not just new to the business of rap or business of music, period. They're new to the business of being accepted socially on that level. And even the white kids, it's not even a colored thing, it's like even the white kids that are out, like Lil Xan and a bunch of these other guys, like these guys they're from the bottom like anybody else, and they are new to the idea of a mass audience actually loves me, really loves me, like, would really do anything for me, like would really, and like they're, that's new. So it's like that feeds the hunger because everything is so new and fresh to them. I think that's how hip hop is like survive, versus the country artists who's most likely they're from a small town. Most likely they're from a place where everybody knows their name. Most likely they're from a place where everybody accepts them for who they are, socially. And then they come out, there's no hunger behind that. There's no like, I'm determined to win. Hip hop, you listen to hip hop artists, most of them are talking about how they gonna win in life. That's what the music's about. It's inspiring just to listen to this stuff. It's motivating just to hear this stuff because everyone's like, I'm a winner and I'm gonna win in life and I'm gonna get through this, whatever problem. Country artists are not talking about that. They're not inspiring you through their music. I'm not saying anything bad about country. I like country, but it's just a different kind of music. But anyways, I'm sorry.
No, so you think it's that kind of like that's that hunger that's necessary in order for an artist to break it big and to actually be successful and push music forward?
Totally. I told you, if you put me on a song with Kendrick right now, I'm gonna eat him. I'm gonna put so much more into it than he would. He's so used to it. He's in market maturity right now. I'm in growth. He's in maturity. And I'm in market growth, business growth, whatever, product growth. He's in product maturity. He's Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And I'm like vitamin water was in 2007,
Yeah. So
you're going to hear way more about me.
So that gives me a question. So, you obviously, I would imagine, have the goals to become Coca-Cola.
Totally.
How do you think an artist should, when they get to that level, continue to be in that growth mindset rather than just kind of be stable, that even when they get to that level, what do you think it's important for an artist to remember in order to not stay stagnant, to then continue to try to rise or just even maintain where they're at?
You know what? You have to be the everyday or the everyman. You have to become the higher you get, the more humble you have to be. Mm-hmm. That's the only way to stay in it. Like I was watching Kevin Hart's last stand-up. Right, he's bigger than he's ever been in life. Mm-hmm. Right now. He's richer than he's ever been in his life. Right now, he has reached a maturity. He has done so many movies in the last few years. It's ridiculous. This guy is a whole different comedian than he was 5 years ago. I'm watching his stand-up, and I'm like, he's too rich. He's not the everyman. Why did he do this at a big stadium? They're not going to relate to you like that at that big stadium, And then I watched Dave Chappelle do his new stand-ups 2 years ago when they came out. Mm-hmm. And he's in front of small audiences. Smaller, way smaller, like a quarter of the size of Kevin Hart. And then one of them, he's in a room, there's maybe a couple hundred people there. And that was it. At the end of one of them, another one comes on. He's at the end of, he's like a couple hundred people. You have to bring it back down and be the everyman. Mm-hmm. When your stuff is tested in a room with the everyman people, that's when you know you're good. That's when you know you're still good at this. And I have to say, Kevin Hart, it sucked to me, and I'm a huge fan of it. And I was like, man, it just wasn't really funny. And Dave Chappelle's was super funny. And I'm like, you know what? It's because he's dodging the famous bullet. He's not oversaturating himself. You know, he's giving himself to you in portions over the years. That's it. You know, and you know what, you have to appeal to you have to become the everyman and walk like that. Like, I know Dave Chappelle. I met Dave Chappelle, and he walked up to me and said, "How am I doing?" I'm standing by the staircase at Erykah Badu's birthday party, and I'm by the staircase just standing there, and he walks up. I didn't even know it was him because he's all buff now, you know. I was like, who is this guy in all black walking this way? I just kind of looked around him. I didn't even. And then the closer he got to me, he was going up those stairs. And I'm sitting on the stairs. And he walked up to me before he went up the stairs. Well, how you doing, man? I'm good. How should I? You know, and we just had like a little mini conversation before he went up there and smoked a cigarette. Or some weed or whatever. But, you know, he came back down and we all went on stage, you know, and for Erykah's birthday party. We all went on there and congratulated him. But yeah, but he's a regular guy, you know, like Kevin Hart. I can't imagine him coming to Dallas without security. You know, it's impossible for you to be really that funny. And he's a funny guy, but it's impossible for you to be funny and doing stand-up when you're just too big. I think he got like Eddie Murphy fever, you know. I mean, that's what happened to Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy did Raw, his last one. He did Raw, and then went into movies and did 1 million movies. And now it's like he's just out of touch, you know.
Although Eddie Murphy I heard something about Netflix offering him like $70 million.
75 million, yeah, like 70 million or something like that. Yeah. But I'm sitting here like, but he's honest about it. He's like, I gotta go work out first. I gotta go do a lot of shows first before I can do this. He's honest about it. You know, he's out of touch. He's honest. He's like, I'm out of touch. I need to get back in touch with this. Kevin Hart, I think he's out of touch, and I think he probably knows it by now. So he needs to go work out. He needs to go do some different shows, smaller shows. Appeal to those people. Be really funny. You gotta be really funny. I mean, I'm more scared to perform with 13 people than I am 1,300 people. I'm way more comfortable on stage in front of 1,300 people than I am 13 people. Because I can see every one of you. I can see all of you. You know, so it's like way more uncomfortable. You see every eye on, you know, and it's just way more uncomfortable. But yeah, I think they should go do some smaller stuff. And that's how it is with rappers, though. We have to come back to being like doing the stuff that got us on in the first place, like being more raw, more, you know, transparent with our messages and stuff. You know, when I reach market maturity, like I almost don't ever want to reach market maturity because I don't want to ever stop growing. You know.
Yeah, you want to always try to find that new thing, that new sound that you could possibly, you know, pursue in music. Right.
I never make the same song twice, like ever. Like I don't even have, everything I make is so different. Like if you just go through my music and just put it in a shuffle, it's going to sound like a different artist every time. You hear a song come on and you go, oh, that's Jack. You hear my voice. Like it's different. Everything's so different. You know.
And is that like so that's an effort by you? Because I've noticed that listening to some of your stuff is that, you know, it does sound, there is some different sounds, and I like that. So that's an effort that you put in to make your song sound different.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I have to be in a different space. I just do whatever inspires me. So I take inspiration from different things and I put it into something, and then it turns into something. I like it to be natural. Like that's my thing. If it doesn't fit, don't force it. You know. So I move naturally. I don't do music when I don't want to do music or anything. I'm never like, I got to do this song. No, it's got to come right out. It's got to flow out. Like I might not make music for a week, and then I'll just make pop out 5 songs in like 3 days. You know, you get a splurge of creativity and then it's over.
Yeah, you gotta,
or a surge of creativity and it's over. Yeah.
You gotta like listen to your own self. It's like, oh, now's the time. Now's the time for me to write these songs and make this music.
Right. I make half songs and I finish them later. That's what I do. I put together half songs and I and then I finish them later. That's what I do because I want to be inspired all the way through it. I don't want to force myself to have to stay on topic. I just want to write what really I feel, what comes to my gut. I write from the gut, and most of the time I don't write. You know, I kind of just go off the top. I've been doing this since I was 12 years old. You know, and so I'm so used to writing rhymes. I write in my mind. I write stuff down every now and then just so I don't forget it. But I don't usually write. I usually write in my head and then go up.
Gotcha. Yeah, you kind of plan it out in your head.
I map it out in my head.
One thing I wanted to touch on, you mentioned this a little bit earlier, is that I've heard and read this, that you're a very talented instrumentalist. You can play, I think you said 8 instruments. I saw like piano, drums.
I actually play more instruments. I've been saying 8 for so long. Like, I've picked up guitar now. Like,
wow.
I play a lot of instruments.
So my question is, I mean, that I don't talk, a lot of artists don't have that kind of wealth of, you know, being able to play instruments in terms of like wealth of knowledge. How did that get started? How did you start to play all these different instruments? What drove you to try to look outside of maybe just traditional hip-hop instruments and say, oh, I want to pick up and play that?
Well, I mean, I played instruments before I was even a hip-hop head. And when I was a kid, like 4 or 5 years old, my father's a Grammy-winning percussionist. My father he's got 4 Grammys himself. His name is Brother Neill. He was with Burning Spear.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with Burning Spear, the reggae band, all reggae. And he was with Burning Spear though, and at one point he was with Good Music with Kanye's label, and he produced on Common's album B and all of that stuff, and a lot of stuff for Consequence and all of them. My father plays so many instruments. You know, he probably plays like 20 instruments.
Jeez.
Yeah, so of course naturally I picked up that from when I was a kid. I watched him do it when I was like, 4 or 5, and I'm picking up djembe drums then. Before I could even reach the djembe drum, all the way at the top of it, the middle of it. You know, I'm hitting them and playing with them, and then all of a sudden I just started going. I was in school and I was always in band. You know, I was in taekwondo. I was a program kid. I didn't have a Saturday to be a kid till I was like 15. Like seriously, I was always had a recital, a game, or a tournament, martial arts tournament or something like that. But I played instruments my whole life, and that was like my favorite thing. Wow. And I draw, and I painted. I did all that stuff. When I was in 9th grade, I had a class by myself painting for the school.
Oh, really?
I did all the murals around the school, 9th grade, me and Miss Dearborn. And when I was a freshman. And, I've always been into that. They always seen stuff in me. And they would, like, a teacher would pull me up and say, why don't you do this? And I'm like, why not?
Exactly.
They just point me in the right direction. I had good teachers when I was a kid and when I was younger. And, nowadays I'm like the teacher now to a lot of different artists. Like I work with a bunch of different artists, and I'm always teaching them about music theory and about different things, different frequencies that make people react to what you're doing. So, I mean, it's so easy to make a hit. It's, as we all know, in this business, it's all about money most of the time. But it's so easy to make a song that people like. If you know music theory and you know frequencies and you can, it's very easy.
So my question there is in terms, you talk about your teachers, your father, who I heard is, like you said, awesome Grammy award-winning musician, but now you're teaching other people. What's it like to kind of have that roles reversed? What's it like to be now the teacher instead of just the student?
It's just like it's not surprising. I mean, you kind of just become, what you need to be to people. It's like if I didn't need to be a teacher, I'd be learning. I'd just be just a student. Instead, I'm a student and a teacher now. So, I'm still picking up stuff and different things from different people I look up to. And, I learn a lot from watching a lot of stuff from a lot of people that I've been around. And, I've been blessed to be around some amazing producers. And I, for a long period of time. And, now I don't know, I don't want to say I'm amazing myself, but now I'm, producing on a level like them, so that's all it is. It's just, you just be what you need to be to people. A lot of people don't know the younger generation right now doesn't know how to play instruments.
Mm-hmm.
They're not picking it up. They're not doing that. That's not, what they're doing? They're the ones on Triller doing the dance challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not picking up a trumpet. I play trumpet and cornet. They're not playing either one. I play violin, viola, both of them. I play cello. They're not picking up cellos. These kids are not doing that. These kids all want to be rappers. Mm-hmm. They don't want to be musicians. They don't understand this is just another form of musicianship, and you got to learn music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're so right. Any successful producer that I've talked to, they always kind of come back to that this is. That it's hip-hop, but that's a form of music. You have to be a musician, and that they play this instrument or that instrument, and that's kind of what gives them the background, is that you can't just go up into Pro Tools or any, whatever, Fruity Loops or whatever, FL Studio, one of those things, and just start hitting keys and make a hit. You have to actually know what you're doing. You got to have that actual mindset, and I feel like that's kind of lost on a lot of people nowadays, is that the actual instrumentation of music.
Right. They have no clue. Mm-hmm. They don't even know what a bar is. Not even a bar. Like, they don't really understand. That's a slang for a measure. Mm-hmm. And a measure is 4 beats. Is 4 beats. There's 4 beats in a measure. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a measure. That's one measure. So whatever the speed of the beat is, it's going to be, if you got a 96, like a normal hip-hop beat would be like a 96 BPM beat. These kids have no clue. If I said that to them, it's like speaking Spanish. Mm-hmm. And it's 4 beats, so it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3. That's 3 bars right there. But they don't understand it. It was never called bars. It was called measures. And because there's a bar in between the measures, that's just a slanged out thing that musicians do. Give me a bar, one of those bars. But yeah, that's what these kids are like. Man, I'm spitting bars, and it's like, dude. Do you even know what a bar is? It's like, do you even know how long a bar is? Like, do you know how many bars you just wrote now? I don't even know. I swear. And I got to tell them sometimes, and I don't want to beat the meaning, so I don't want to be like teaching them. I'm just like, hey, I find a clever way to tell people this stuff, without making them feel like, they don't know, Hmm. So just, I got to trick people into teaching them stuff. They're my age, too, and it's just so crazy. I'm like, I got to trick you into teaching you something.
So you have the single, Cut You Off, that just came out. You had your project OGB, and also OGB 1.5. What are you currently working on right now?
I'm working on a new record, and I'm just gonna call it 2.0. Mm-hmm. And I've been working on it since probably like December.
Okay.
1.5 came out in like November. That mixtape came out in November. Cut You Off is not on that. Cut You Off is a standalone single. Not sure if that'll be on the new record or not. But I'm working on a new album right now, and I'm pretty much done. Honestly.
Oh wow!
I started working on it here and there in January. I'm just getting started in this business, really get my boots strapped up all the way, and it's just it's kind of like I'm all over the place. I'm traveling, I'm here and there, and and I've been working on it since probably January, December, mm-hmm. Just off and on. and I'll pump out. I mean, as far as I've got like a lot of stuff, I probably got about 50 songs.
Oh wow!
And there'll probably be only 10 songs on this album.
Mm-hmm. So you got to cut that down.
Yeah, I want the 10 strongest songs I can think of, like I can come up with, like in this time period, and I'll have 10 laid out, nice ones, like undeniable tracks.
So you mentioned how you always like to kind of go in these different directions with your music and try new things and have new sounds. On this project,
right.
What kind of direction did you go with?
This next project is like, I'm probably it's more of a, I want the lightest moods. I want people to be able to, like, as soon as you hear the song, it makes you feel good, or it puts you in a good mood instead of in a bad mood. The frequencies I'm using throughout this whole album are all like the lightest frequencies that you can use. Everything is going directed towards your crown chakra instead of your core chakra. So it's like, I don't want you to be able to grab your nuts on any of my music. I want you to be able to just be in a good mood every time you hear one of these songs. So that's my whole thing. Because originally I wanted to go with the whole dance album.
Really?
I love people dancing, and I love to see people dance to my music. Mm-hmm. And have a good time to it. So I scratched the whole dance thing, and I said I just want people to have a good time to every single song on this album, and that's my biggest thing. And I want people to appreciate the lyricism and every single message that's given through it, because music is way more universal than just, hey, I want you to play this in the club. No, I want you to play this forever. I don't care where you play it. I just want it to be played forever because I want you to appreciate it, and pass it along to the next people. I don't want to make music just for right now, just for 2019. It's just trendy today, and meaningless tomorrow.
Has to have that lasting impact.
Yeah, I want to have a lasting impact. I want to make classics.
Exactly. So you have
this album to be a classic.
So you have this single out, this album, like you said, 50 tracks, you're cutting it down to 10. Just how are you feeling now going into the rest of 2019?
Hungry. That's it. That's it. That is it. I am just like, I'm ready for the next level of this.
Exactly. Just
continuing
to grow.
The next stage. Yeah, that's it.
Well,
I know I'm growing. I can't tell you where I want to be in 5 years because I have no idea where I'm going to be in 5 years. I just know I'm going to grow so much, and I'm prepared to make changes and trim the hedges of my life and my mentalities and different things. I'm just prepared to. I'm prepared for change.
Yeah. Exactly.
And everything's going to keep changing, and it's never going to stop changing. Because things are going to get better and better and better. My last mixtape is called OGB. That stands for Only Gets Better. That's my mantra. So everything's always going to perpetually change.
Well, again, a big thank you to Jay for coming on to the podcast. Remember, go down into the show notes. There, I'll have links for you to check out his track, Cut You Off, as well as to follow him so you can stay up to date and know exactly when that upcoming project drops. And with that, that'll wrap it up for this episode. Thank you so much for listening to Anything Goes to Jackson Neill podcast. Make sure to subscribe and rate this podcast on your favorite platforms because that does a lot to help grow the show. Remember, new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday. For more episodes, go down to the show notes and visit the link to JacksonNeillPodcast.com. There you'll find all of the episodes to this podcast, as well as the Jackson Neill Music and Sports Podcasts. New episodes of the Music Podcast on Sundays, with the Sports Podcast coming on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you're a big fan of the show, maybe consider becoming a subscriber on Patreon. For just a couple dollars a month, you can get access to bonus content from my interviews here on Anything Goes, including today's with Jay, where I asked him about the NBA and he told me these crazy cool stories about Russell Westbrook and stuff like that. So make sure you go out and check that out. And on Patreon, you also get access to bonus segments from both my sports and music podcasts. I write, record, and produce these podcasts myself as a full-time college student, so any little bit of support really does go a long way. Link to Patreon down in the show notes. If you want to stay up to date on everything I'm doing, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JacksonNeill20. Today's music is by Analog by Nature with their song CDK Sunday. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you all next time.